the freedom that constrains us. Existential philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "Man is condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." In other words, we are burdened by our own freedom. Every moment, every choice, every action is on us. And, in many ways, Gen Z is the most free generation to ever exist. Yet, paradoxically, many of us feel directionless, lost, and imprisoned by a lack of purpose. How do we reach a point where nihilism and hopelessness define our generation? What role does this extreme freedom play in our lack of fulfillment? Today, I'll attempt to answer these questions by leveraging my philosophical research and personal observations. The root cause of our crisis? Postmodernism. To solve any problem or answer any complex questions, like the ones posed at the beginning of this video, we need to break the problem down into its fundamentals so we can get to the root cause. While there is a great deal we can learn about human nature and philosophy from the 19th and 20th century, there are only a select few that have had a lasting impact on the world we live in today. One of those philosophies is postmodernism. Postmodernism is a broad and complex philosophy, so I will do my best to simplify it. It is a logical outgrowth of Nietzsche's observation in 1882. Nietzsche claimed God is dead. If God is dead, then it is only a matter of time before the world would shift away from believing in one grand truth or narrative to embracing multiple competing truths and narratives. This is postmodernism. It emphasizes subjectivity, individualism, and most importantly, for this discussion, the instability of meaning. The evolution of thought and belief systems can be divided into three general stages. Pre-modernism, truth was defined by God. Religion provided a singular grand narrative that governed people's lives. Modernism, the rise of science, challenged religious authority. Scientific discoveries and rational thought replaced faith as the guiding principles for progress and truth. Postmodernism, with the expansion of knowledge, media, and the internet, neither religion nor science held absolute authority anymore. People began questioning everything. With access to unlimited information at our fingertips, we now live in an era where every belief system, philosophy, and worldview is available for us to adopt. Instead of being one path to follow, we're now confronted with endless options, each claiming to be the answer. Perhaps this is why we have seen the incredible rise of nihilism. While this may seem empowering, it can actually be overwhelming. It effectively creates the paradox of choice. When we are bombarded with conflicting ideas, the responsibility falls entirely on us to determine what is true. But if everyone is right, then is anyone truly right? How do we know what to believe? How do we determine the correct way to live? This level of freedom, choosing our own truth, can be deeply unsettling. Humans crave meaning and certainty, but postmodernism offers neither. It removes any clear direction, leaving many people feeling lost. That's why most people actually prefer not to think for themselves. They would rather be told what to believe, what to do, and what directions to follow. Because when someone else gives you one truth, it provides clarity, stability, and a sense of purpose. Now, however, there is no single truth. Instead, we are left with uncertainty, distrust, and a fractured sense of reality. And when there is no trust and no direction, purposelessness follows. The blurring of reality, hyperreality, signs, and symbols. Another key aspect of postmodernism that influences our generation's sense of purpose is hyperreality. Philosopher Jean Baudrillard defined hyperreality as the inability to distinguish reality from its representations. In other words, it's when the image of something becomes more real than the thing itself. To understand this, consider how humans have traditionally assigned value to objects. Historically, an object's value was based on the labor put into it, its usefulness or use value, and how it compared to other objects' exchange value. But in today's world, sign value has overtaken all of these. Sign value is on what an object represents, rather than what it actually is. Most things we buy, wear, and interact with are valued not for their function, but for what they symbolize. For example, a Rolex isn't purchased because it can tell time 100 times better than another watch. It's purchased because of the brand's story, because of what it represents, and how it affects social perception. This obsession with signs and symbols has led to the rise of hyperreality. In a hyperreal world, the representations of something becomes more important than reality itself. The idea of success, beauty, or happiness, carefully curated on social media, begins to replace genuine experience. Movies like American Psycho and Fight Club have depicted this shift, showing characters who struggle with a world that feels increasingly artificial. Many young people today relate to these films because they highlight a growing disconnect between how life is portrayed and how life actually feels. In a world where appearances, status, and social validation take precedent over depth and authenticity, people inevitably start feeling empty. If everything is about perception rather than reality, then where does real meaning come from? The impact of hyperreality on purpose. The way we interact with the world today is unnatural. With people spending nearly half their day on their phones, the internet is shaping expectations for real life more than ever before. Social media, driven by algorithms, feeds us content designed to maximize engagement, prioritizing what is most extreme, most desirable, and most controversial. This distorts our reality and our understanding of it. Social media highlights only the most attractive, successful, and exciting aspects of life, creating a standard that is impossible for most people to meet. It's conditioning us to believe that our reality should look like other people's highlights. As a result, people try to optimize their lives for appearance rather than meaning. They seek out more friends, more money, more validation, believing that more will fill the void. But instead of feeling alive, they feel like an object in a simulated reality. Even physical self-improvement is influenced by hyperreality. People don't just want to look good, they want to look like filters or anime characters. Technology is no longer just shaping how we see the world, it's shaping how we see ourselves. For many in Gen Z, this makes forming deep, meaningful connections difficult. When people focus on outward appearance and social status, they lose the ability to engage with themselves and others in very real ways. So, what can be done? How can we live with more depth and more purpose in a hyperreal world? Living with purpose, the social switch. One popular solution from the self-improvement movement is to return to tradition, to abandon social media, embrace spirituality, and rebuild communities. While this may work for some, it's not realistic for everyone. Instead, I believe the key is adaptation. Humans have survived millennia by evolving with the times. If our current world makes deep social connection more difficult, then we must learn to rely more on ourselves. It means learning how to function both within and outside of today's hyperreal culture. It's about knowing when to engage with others and when it's okay to be alone, and being okay with being alone. For introverts, this may come naturally, but for many, it requires training. Developing self-sufficiency, the ability to find fulfillment, creativity, and purpose without relying on external validation is crucial. The reality is that forming deep connections is getting harder. We can't control that, but we can control how we respond to it. When you stop seeking external validation and learn to appreciate your own experiences, you regain a sense of purpose. How to live more deeply. Living deeply means engaging fully with life. It means breaking free from the instant gratification and truly experiencing the world around you. Everywhere you look, there is something miraculous. The fact that you can see, hear, and feel is an incredible gift. Life is full of details, swaying trees, the sound of footsteps, the feeling of sunlight. But postmodern society has conditioned us to ignore these things. If you want to reclaim purpose, you might reclaim awe and wonder. Not everything needs to be optimized for status. Sometimes it's enough to just be. A hopeful future. Despite everything, I hope for Gen Z. We are the most free-thinking generation in history. While that freedom comes with challenges, it also gives us the opportunity to build something better. We don't need to escape the matrix. We just need to wake up. Meaning, it's not found in more, but in being present. And that is something that you can choose at any moment. What do you think? Please share your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Until next time, thank you.